I was halfway through my second coffee when the invite hit my inbox. Subject line, CEO Sync, 10:15 a.m. Mandatory, no agenda, no notes. Just my name, a time, and the kind of corporate formality that screams, "Don't be late." Carl, my manager and full-time snake in a fleece vest, was CC'd. That told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't a catch-up. I wasn't nervous. I've survived 14 years of tech chaos at this company. 2 reorgs, 1 hostile acquisition, and the time our last VP of engineering tried replacing our entire deployment pipeline with some bootleg script from a Ukrainian freelancer. I stayed. I delivered. I led 6 product rollouts, mentored half the dev floor, and kept my head down while the idiots played politics. So, no, I wasn't scared. I was curious. I walked up to floor 18, CEO territory, glass everything. The kind of place where the plants are fake, but the egos are real. Carl was already there, leaning back like he owned the place, that smug little grin plastered on his face like a sticker that wouldn't peel off. The CEO stood when I walked in. Guy had that gray-templed, just woke up in my golf course home look. He started buttering me up right away. "You've been instrumental on Project Apex, a stabilizing force. Your leadership's been future-facing, solution-minded. That's code. I've been around long enough to know when corporate's about to feed you a compliment sandwich with a rotten middle." Then came the pitch. "We're moving you to lead a high-priority, confidential initiative, Project Echo. It's a big one. High trust, high stakes. We need someone dependable." Carl gave a fake serious nod like it was his idea all along. I nodded back, still playing along. Problem was, I'd never heard of Project Echo. No dev chatter, no roadmap reference, not even a whisper from product or engineering. But sure, I smiled, shook hands, took the compliment like a good soldier. They walked me straight to my new office. Floor 12, no windows, dust everywhere, 1 folding table, 1 ancient Dell tower humming like it had emphysema, no whiteboard, no chair that spun. And when I tried to badge back into my original floor, denied, I figured it was a glitch, until I asked the front desk. "Sorry," the receptionist said, "Echo clearance only." That's when I realized my name was off the directory. No meeting invites, no Slack threads. Just me, a dead office, and Carl's smirk echoing in my head. So I sat in that beat-up folding chair, stared at the login screen, and asked myself, what the hell just happened? I left that folding chair and headed straight to my old floor. Just walked up like nothing had changed. Figured maybe I could catch morning stand-up, get some context, pretend the whole Echo thing was temporary. My badge beeped red. Access denied. I tried again, slower this time, like the reader was the problem, still red. I knocked. Nobody came. The receptionist saw me through the glass and gave a quick shrug, like, "Not my problem." I mouthed, "Carl?" And she just turned away. Back at my new office, if you could call it that. I opened my inbox. Nothing. No kickoff meetings. No team invites. No new repos. I did find a shared Google Drive folder with one document. Echo Charter. Confidential. 4 lines. That was it. Echo is a cross-functional strategic initiative focused on next-gen alignment and synergy. Not a word about product. No goals, no scope, just buzzword soup. By day 3, Carl finally popped up in Slack. "Carl, hope you're settling in the big stuff ahead." I stared at that emoji for a full minute before replying. Me? "Hey, just looping back. Any specs, timelines, stakeholders? Even a general direction would help." No reply. I went home that night and started drinking earlier than usual. 2 whiskeys in, I checked the company update email. Weekly roll-up. I scanned it fast until I saw Project Apex. There it was, full spread, highlighted feature sets, launch timeline, executive quotes, Carl's included. Then I saw the new lead, Paul, from finance. Paul couldn't code FizzBuzz on a whiteboard if you spotted him the print function. Guy once asked me if APIs were like plugins. And now he's running Apex, my Apex. No mention of me. No shout out to the previous lead. No thanks to the devs who got us here. Just like that, I was erased. That was the moment it clicked. This wasn't a reward. It wasn't some elite mission. It was exile, with Wi-Fi. They didn't fire me. That would have made noise. No, they just quietly moved me out of the way, parked me in a glorified storage closet with a fake project and a smiley face Slack message to keep me docile. No confrontation, no paper trail, just isolation. I was a threat, and this was their version of containment. I sat back in my chair, barely padded, back tilted just a little too far, and stared at the wall. I thought about all the late nights I spent cleaning up Paul's budget docs when he couldn't figure out how to format cells. All the weekends I worked pushing Apex's dev timeline ahead. All the crap I swallowed every time Carl took credit for my decisions in front of the board. And this was my thanks, a blank Google Doc and a dead Slack thread. I started pacing, back and forth across maybe 7 feet of carpet. My phone buzzed, calendar alert for a one-on-one with Carl next week. I hit snooze. What was the point? I already knew how that convo would go. Just give it time. We're still aligning stakeholders. Echo's high-level strategy, it's still in flux. It was all garbage. There was no Echo. At least, not one they expected to launch. This was a holding pattern, a slow fade-out. Problem was, they underestimated one thing. I don't fade. That Friday, I stayed late. Just sat there with the lights off, watching the glow of that outdated Dell. No one came by, no one checked in. The silence wasn't even awkward anymore. It was intentional, engineered. I was alone by design. So, I made a decision. If they wanted me to disappear, fine. I'd vanish on my terms. I came in Monday like I still worked there. Same train, same coffee, same badge denial on floor 9. Back on floor 12, I opened Outlook. Nothing. No invites, no new threads, no project updates. The inbox was just a graveyard of old CCs and automated calendar reminders from when I still mattered. So I started making things up. First, I built a fake roadmap, called the imaginary product Echo Point AI, just to amuse myself. I gave it tiers, Starter, Pro, and Enterprise Quantum. Made slides, real slides, color-coded timelines, fake personas, made-up friction points, even a pitch deck. No one noticed. No one asked what I was working on. I fired off another email to Carl, me. Hey, do we have second quarter deliverables yet for Echo? Any priorities I can work toward? 2 days later, I got a reply. Carl, just keep iterating. Trust the process. That emoji, again, like he thought this was a joke we were in on together. I looked around the room. There was nothing in it that belonged to me. No printer, no whiteboard, not even a working outlet by the window. The only things with any life were 2 sad plants in the corner, some kind of dying fern and a cactus that looked like it had PTSD. I started talking to them, just a little. Morning, fellas. Guess who's not on the launch memo again? Week 2, I gave up shaving. Wore the same jeans 3 days in a row. Nobody cared. I ordered the same turkey wrap from the deli across the street every day. It came cold, bland, wrapped in shame. I ate it at my desk while refreshing Slack for notifications that never came. I opened up Jira one morning, just out of reflex. No tickets, no activity, like I'd been wiped off the system. I poked through old threads, back when my name actually meant something in comments. That's when I found it, buried in a customer support ticket from almost a year ago. Does anyone at this company even use their own reporting tools? I've spent 25 minutes trying to run a usage report. I froze. That line, it hit like a slap, because I remembered that ticket. I'd flagged it in a meeting, told Carl, told product, told everyone who would listen. Our reporting tools are garbage. Customers are pissed. Carl brushed it off like lint. Not mission critical, he said. Focus on the roadmap. Except it was mission critical. I knew it. The users knew it. And now, reading it again, alone in that ghost office, I laughed. Loud. The kind of laugh that doesn't come from humor. It comes from clarity. They buried me because I saw problems they didn't want to fix. I saw weakness, and I was loud about it. But that complaint, that stupid little ticket, sparked something. I couldn't stop thinking about it. What if the problem was fixable? What if the users weren't the problem? What if the tools just sucked? The reporting tool was clunky, slow, buried behind menus no one used. And I'd brought that up repeatedly. They ignored it. So I pulled my chair back, opened a blank doc, and started jotting down features. Nothing fancy, just what users actually needed. Something simple, fast, not tied to any of the bloat we'd been dragging around for years. I wasn't thinking business. I wasn't thinking startup. I was thinking revenge. Quiet, clean revenge. I didn't even think twice. I pulled out my personal laptop, silver MacBook, 4 years old, a few stickers peeling off, and opened the company's API docs, still public, still open. Nobody had locked them down or gated the data. Everything I needed was sitting right there, untouched. SDKs, endpoints, usage permissions. It was like leaving the vault wide open and hoping no one walks in. I registered the domain that same night, fixreportnow.com. It wasn't subtle, but subtle wasn't the point. Next came the cover layer. I filed the LLC in Delaware, paid cash for the filing, used my personal Amex for hosting and a few SaaS licenses, created separate email aliases. Backups went to encrypted drives synced to a cloud nobody at the company could touch. Nothing tied to company gear, not one byte. This wasn't a prototype. This was war prep. I didn't go home after work anymore. I stayed in that dusty office, lights off, door locked, coded from 7 at night to 2, sometimes 3 in the morning. The hum of that old Dell was my white noise machine. I started with basic functionality. Pull data, display it clean, export it fast. No spinning wheels, no 15-click export menu, no bloated UX. I wanted something you could use half asleep on a Monday morning and still get your numbers right. About 2 weeks in, I brought in help, quietly. The front-end guy was a college kid from Poland, fast as hell with React, and had a thing for clean typography. I found him through an old dev forum post about performance optimization, paid him direct via PayPal, no names, no contracts. Back-end cleanup went to a guy in Idaho. Quiet, mid-30s, no profile photo anywhere. Just code. Good code. Python whisperer. Didn't ask questions, didn't miss a deadline. I gave him modular tasks and kept comms tight. I paid them fair. I wasn't out to exploit, just build. Somewhere around week 5, Carl dropped another email into my inbox. Carl, can't wait to see your vision take shape. I didn't respond. I just closed the tab and put my headphones on. After that, I wore headphones every day. Big over-ear ones, noise canceling. People stopped making small talk. Carl stopped dropping by. If he did, I'd nod once, pretend to be deep in thought, and keep typing. All I cared about was that door closing behind me every night. The moment the last person left for the day, that office stopped being a coffin and became a lab. The deeper I got into the build, the more alive I felt. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't faking it. I wasn't killing time. I had purpose. I had control. By week 12, we had something real. We called it Clean View, one-page dashboard, snappy interface, instant CSV export. No login loops, no buried menus. It just worked. I stress-tested it every night, hit it with garbage data, broke it on purpose, rebuilt it tighter, no lag, no bloat. It was light, fast, and didn't treat users like idiots. I sat back in my chair one night, maybe 3 a.m., and stared at the finished screen. CleanView wasn't pretty. It wasn't shiny, but it was functional, solid, and not one single person at the company knew it existed. Not Carl, not IT, not even the devs I used to lead. I didn't breathe a word. No Slack threads, no commits on shared repos, no trace on work machines. This was mine, all of it. I didn't sleep that night. I watched the clock tick past 3 a.m., cracked my knuckles, and hit launch. The post went live at 3:10 on the dot. Forum, niche reporting thread where enterprise power users go to complain. Title, sick of fighting your company's reporting tool? Try this. Username, Rick Stone. Email, burner. I set up on a prepaid SIM card last week. I shut my laptop, sat back, waited. By the time I made coffee, real coffee, not the sad K-cups from the office, I had 900 downloads. The server tanked. I grabbed my backup credit card, logged into the hosting dashboard, and upgraded everything. RAM, bandwidth, mirrored servers. CleanView was live again before most people had even rolled out of bed. Emails poured in, all caps, typos, screenshots of dashboards. Holy wow, this fixed my whole process. Why does this work better than our enterprise suite? Finally, something that just works. I couldn't stop grinning. I must have read the same 5 messages 20 times. I forwarded nothing, told no one. I just sat there with my phone blowing up in a cafe that had no idea a digital Molotov had just been thrown into corporate. By Tuesday afternoon, we crossed 4,000 active users. Let me be clear, this wasn't viral. This was surgical. Every person who found CleanView hated the same product I used to get screamed at for defending. They didn't want a pitch. They wanted relief. And I gave it to them. Then came the company memo. Internal flagged priority. Subject line. Market intelligence. CleanView. I read it 3 times to make sure it was real. Emerging competitor identified. CleanView. UX overlaps with legacy system. Feature parity is currently partial but expanding. Monitoring active. Investigating source. They didn't know it was me, not yet, but they knew someone had drawn blood. I walked into the office like nothing had happened. Carl passed me in the hallway, gave his usual nod like we were still on the same team. I nodded back and kept walking. Didn't say a word. Didn't need to. He had no idea. Quick check-in while you're here. Which city or country are you watching from today? I'd love to know. I shut my office door, sat at my folding table, and opened CleanView's Analytics tab. Real-time metrics, session durations, CSV exports completed. Every graph was climbing, every line trending up. This wasn't some side project anymore. This was a threat, a real one. And for the first time since they stuck me in that broom closet, I felt alive. Not angry, not humiliated, just clear. They'd boxed me in, tried to choke me out quietly. Instead, I built the thing they refused to fix, and now it was everywhere. Thursday morning, all hands Zoom. Calendar invite marked, critical, company-wide. Carl's on camera, jacket buttoned, hair slicked back like he's prepping for a Senate hearing. Slide 1, a screenshot of CleanView's dashboard. I almost laughed. He started rambling about UI simplicity and streamlined data access. Called it an interesting competitor to monitor. Then he dropped the line. You can tell the interface was designed by someone who actually uses reporting tools. My jaw didn't move, not a blink. I just sat there, took fake notes with a dead pen, and watched him squirm. He had no clue the guy he was quoting was sitting 5 rows down, muted, half a smirk hidden behind a coffee cup. After that meeting, the panic started rolling in. Ait dropped a surprise memo. Subject line, policy reminder, side projects, and security audits. Legalese packed into bullet points. One sentence stood out. All employees must disclose external tech projects or applications, effective immediately. Slack went quiet. Nobody said it, but everyone felt it. I started hearing whispers in the hallway. Security was running log audits, pulling badge swipe records, checking IP history, digging through GitHub. One poor junior dev had a private repo named Dashboard Experiments. They flagged him for it, pulled him into HR. He was white as drywall by the time he came out. The witch hunt was real. You could feel the fear thick in the air, like smoke before a fire. But me? I was calm. Every single byte of CleanView sat outside company reach. Personal laptop, personal Git. Every commit time-stamped after hours. Payments routed through private accounts. Backups on cloud servers. Carl's team couldn't spell, let alone subpoena. I was bulletproof, and they knew it. Friday, legal pushed a new clause into onboarding docs. Full IP control over employee projects created during employment, regardless of company equipment use. Desperation move. Wouldn't hold up for a minute in court, but the message was loud. They were scared. Carl started showing up earlier, hair messier, ties looser. Every update meeting had more tension, long pauses, less eye contact. Meanwhile, CleanView doubled its users. Again, 8,000, then 16. New feedback pouring in every hour. Save my quarter. Finally stopped using Excel. How is this not the official tool? I walked the halls like nothing changed. Still had my fake Echo folder open on my work desktop. Still type nonsense into a doc every few hours to keep up appearances. My headphone volume went up. Conversations went down. I was a ghost with a purpose. One afternoon, I passed the CEO in the lobby. He nodded. I nodded back. Behind his eyes, I could see it, the doubt, the calculation. He didn't know it was me, but he felt it. Somewhere in that shiny glass office of his, someone was bleeding, and I was standing there holding the knife, clean, quiet, untouchable, Friday, 1 p.m., sharp. Calendar ping. No subject, no sender, just private. I knew. I put on the black jacket, clean button down, no tie. Shined my shoes for the first time in months. Not for them. For me. I walked into that room like I was selling them their own funeral package. They were waiting. Carl, gray around the edges now, twitchy hands folded on the table like a poker player holding nothing. The CEO sat in the middle, palms flat, expression stiff. Next to him, some legal guy in a navy suit who looked fresh out of law school but already soulless. Carl started it. "Cleanview traces back to your credentials." His voice cracked halfway through. I didn't say a word. "You accessed API documentation through your work account," he added. "That triggers Section 5B, IP ownership clause." He leaned back like he'd just played a trump card. I didn't blink. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder. Thick, tabbed, organized. I slid it across the table. Receipts, contractor payments. Time logs from every nightly commit. Screenshots of Cleanview running on my personal laptop, on personal time. I'd even printed out a notarized dev log from one night in March. Time-stamped, signed, verified. Legal flipped through it fast at first, then slower. Eyes narrowed. I dropped one more sheet on the table, my resignation letter, typed, signed, ready. "You sidelined me," I said, calm and clear. "You didn't promote me. You locked me in a closet and hoped I'd rot. I was too loud, too capable, too much of a threat to your little kingdom." The room went still. You could hear the HVAC hum behind the glass. "So yeah," I said, "I used the time, I used the silence, and I built something better." The CEO looked like someone had just kicked his dog, then invoiced him for damages. His mouth opened like he had something to say, but nothing came out. Carl cleared his throat. "Even if it's clean, it's—" I cut him off. "You had 14 years to listen. 14 years of meetings, rollouts, fixes, and flagging real problems your golden boys ignored." I leaned forward. "Cleanview exists because you didn't care until someone made you look stupid." The legal guy held up a hand, already trying to de-escalate. "We don't need to make this hostile." "It's not," I said. "It's handled." I stood, buttoned my jacket. No rage, no theatrics, just final. "Keep the closet," I said on my way out. "You'll need it for the next guy." Carl didn't move. The CEO just stared at the resignation, like it had personally betrayed him. I didn't wait for a response. I walked out of that room, down the hall, past the frosted doors, and into the elevator without a single glance back. As the doors closed, I'd let myself breathe. Not because I was free, because I'd won. 2 months later, I was in Austin, working out of a loft with concrete floors and coffee that didn't taste like regret. No fluorescent lights, no Carl. Just laptops, whiteboards, and real builders who knew what they were doing. Cleanview had crossed 40,000 users, and climbing. The funding came fast. Too fast, honestly. 1 pitch call turned into 3. Term sheet in my inbox the same week. Final offer, $9.6 million seed, closed in 11 days. One of the partners said, "You've clearly solved a pain point." No kidding. I hired lean, just people I trusted. No inflated egos, no corporate dead weight. One of the engineers I brought in used to be on my old team. Smart guy, quiet but sharp. First thing he said when we sat down to sync, "You hear about Carl?" I shook my head. He grinned. Full breakdown. Snapped when legal told him they couldn't touch your code. Threw a chair in a meeting. I laughed, hard. First real laugh I'd had in months. Then came the video. A junior dev texted it to me. Blurry lobby footage from inside the old office. Carl, red-faced, slapping his badge against the reader like it owed him money. Security just standing there, while his access kept flashing red. Over and over, denied, poetic. The CEO tried to spin the whole thing in a company-wide memo. Called it a market learning opportunity. Said they were pivoting toward collaborative UX modernization. Users weren't buying it. Cleanview was spreading like a virus. Only useful. Whole departments started migrating. People sent messages asking if we could build integrations, extend features, offer support. I said yes to everything that made sense. Cleanview wasn't just a tool anymore. It was a movement. And I wasn't leading from the shadows now. I was front and center. That Friday, I sat at my desk, feet up, coffee in hand, while Rain tapped the windows like a metronome. No meetings, no fake projects, just real output. I refreshed the metrics dashboard, 7.2 million users. That number didn't feel real, but it was mine. When people ask how it started, how I built a company from a folding chair and a fake calendar invite, I just tell them the truth. They gave me a box. I turned it into a blueprint. What would you have done in my position? Stay quiet or fight back with your own build? Drop your answer in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this one.